Welcome to the wide world of snowboard gear polyamory. I'm James Beastie, and I'm here today to talk about Snowsurf Favorites. If you don't know the good ride, I'm an average snowboarder who's ridden close to 800 snowboards, a lot more if you count variations of models over the years. On top of that, I'm a surfer. I surf the river wave at Bend, but before that, ocean surfing was my first passion in life, and it actually led me to snowboarding. Just so you know, this is no pay-to-play top 10 best of type list like most of them are. These boards earned this spot by how they ride and their own unique merits. The way I make money is from support for readers like you, so please help in any way you can see fit to support objective reviews like this. So what we consider Snowsurf is a board that rides really far back near the tail, just like an ocean surfboard does. These boards help you emulate the kind of turns you make in the ocean on snow. They have a few things in common. Almost all of them like a more positive, directional, narrower stance, like plus 27 front, plus 9 back. Many float as good or almost as good as a dedicated powder board, but you'd be missing out on a really complete life if you didn't take these boards out and turn them on groomers. So let's get to the list, and this is set up in no order of importance. They all shine in their own individual way. So first up is the Korua Pintonic. This is a low angle powder master. This carves groomers very well too, and it has a very unique turning experience. You don't have to be fully posy to get into this. You can work your way up to that, and you can learn how to weight your turns different ways on this board, and it's not gonna fight you. Base glide is great, but it's not excellent. But what I love about this board is its low angle powder riding. It sits just so far back on board. It's so easy to turn and maneuver in deeper snow. And boards like this that are longer not only float really well, but they keep their speed in lower angle powder like Davey and I see at Mount Bachelor. And that's why I own the 164 and Davey owns the 172. We just love this board. So next up is the Café Racer. This is a board that's been on the favorite list for a while. My crew and I just love this. If you want to compare this to the Pintonic I just talked about, take the Pintonic and flip it. This absolutely rips groomers for carving. It has a little more camber. It drives so hard through the turn. It has that real aggressive free ride, high speed turn to it, but yet still feels surfy. Most surfy boards feel a little more set back. You don't want to go as fast. This just allows you to light it up at any speed. It can make all kinds of fun turns, from circle carves to high speed down the line carves. It does it all. But when you get to powder, it's not gonna be a horrible board at all. It floats really well and keeps its speed really well. If you want more pop and a faster base, you can go with the Café Racer Plus, and it's not that chattery, so that's another option there as well. Like the Pintonic, you can work your way into going posy, which is obviously the best way to ride all these boards. But if you start out a little bit negative, like 18 front, -3 back, it's not gonna fight you on it either. So next up is the first of many swallowtails, the Weston Japow. Like the two boards above, it's okay with any kind of stance, width, or angles. Any way you want to weight your turn, you can with these three boards. This has a very fast base. While it's marketed more as a powder board by Weston, I just couldn't put it in that category because I had so much fun carving this up on groomers. And I compared this extensively against a lot of great groomer carvers, like the Jones Stormwolf, Seasons Forma. This held its own against boards like that, and that's pretty special. This really likes those high-speed, down-the-line carves, but it's not gonna fight you too much on a cross-the-groomer carve. And when you're in powder, this can really point it, but still turn pretty quick inside the trees. Where it really shines is opening it up on a wide face and really getting some speed into a turn and letting that rooster tail go out behind you. I personally own a 159, but I could easily ride a 164 to get a little more directional float and to get a better low angle powder ride. So next up is the Soul Shift. This is a really fun, turny daily driver. It's truly more of a posy setup kind of board. You're really getting into more true snow surf here. They just changed the size to a 159. It still has the same feel between the feet, just a longer nose, which is better for powder. I found that it was good in powder, but now it's going to be up there with most of these boards on the list. But what I really like about this board is the flex personality. It's very poppy, but yet it's not bucky or bouncy. It has this dampening technology that feels like it's comparable to Amplid in the way that they just absorb all kinds of chatter and hard micro bumpy snow to soft uneven snow, but yet don't compromise on pop. And that's what I truly love about this board. It has a really fun turny experience. You can circle carve with this, you can down the line carve, you can do any kind of turns you'd like. I actually took this out in same day tests against the Dart from Korua, an honorary mention here. This outshined the Dart, but the Dart is no slouch, and this only comes in one size. So if the 59, which is more comparable to the 56 Dart, doesn't work for you, there's all kinds of darts you can get in different sizes, and you'll have a wonderful life with that board as well. So next up is the Gentemstick Barracuda, a board that just makes me smile. I rode this years ago. Actually, most boards on this list don't change year over year much or at all. Of all the boards, this is the least damp, the most light, the most poppy. Usually boards like that don't work for me, but somehow this board does. It's exceptional. I just love the feel of the super fast base. I love the turning experience of this on groomers. It has such a cool feel to it that I thought wouldn't appeal to me, but just lit me up and made me happy. The float in powder obviously is exceptional. You can get this in the deepest of deep. I personally like the high performance, which is a little narrower, a little shorter for turning, and the Barracuda for powder. What I like about the Barracuda and the Barracuda high performance is in comparison to many of the Gentemstick alternative fish boards in their line, they seem to have just a touch more tail, and you don't feel like you're at the very end of the board. That's a really cool feeling in powder and going slow and making really cool turns. But if you want to go a little bit faster or get a little bit of air, you're gonna like this Barracuda more like I did. I wish I owned this board. So next up is the Moss Jellyfish. It has camber off the back foot and then rocker the rest of the way up to the nose. Looking at this, you would think this is a powder board. It isn't. It absolutely rips groomers, but it's not gonna let you down in powder either. I got it in knee-high powder and it felt like it wasn't even trying. It has a very fast base like the Gentemstick. This pops really well off the tail, and this shines for back foot weighted carvers. You really need to get your back leg over that camber and get it to spring out of the turn. Ironically, this is one of the most expensive boards on this list, and it's also the most forgiving. And it just goes to show you that getting into snow surf isn't cheap or easy. So next we have the Nidecker Beta APX. I just love this ride. It's so much fun, but it really needs a front foot weighted carve. Likes a positive setup much more than slightly duck, and is for those that want an easy board to control if you size it correctly, but still more of a down the line, drivey turner. It's less of an across the groomer and circle carve kind of ride. It's more of a straight line and high speed carve kind of ride that really lights up on groomers. So take everything I said about groomers and scratch that when it comes to powder. You can dial it back and make slashy, fun, surfy turns in powder. This has a lot of spoon and you feel that in powder. it just has this really cool turning experience that just flows edge to edge so well. If you're on a budget or you want a more damp ride, then the Beta will do the job well. It only comes at the expense of a slower base. This isn't an entry-level ride. There just really aren't entry-level rides for Snowsurf. But at least if you want to get into it at a sub 500 price range, the Beta will do it. So there you have it. Check out our individual reviews. Go to the Good Ride. Use the comparison tool, the sort and filter. Check out all the Snowsurf boards we've reviewed and compared to see if there's one that isn't on the list that might appeal to you more.